All right, good evening, everyone. This is the Town of Victor Zoning Board of Appeals. It is 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If we would, start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty. A few housekeeping matters, everyone. Emergency exits are off to the side, to the right and the left. Restrooms are in the vestibule lobby area. If you haven't done so already, there's an attendance sheet out in the back of the meeting room, along with proposed resolutions. There's also address, email, phone numbers for the planning department. If you haven't done so already, please either silence or turn off your cell phone so as not to disturb the meeting itself. And if you have any conversations that don't relate specifically to the hearing, please go out in the hallway. So again, it's not to disturb it. So other housekeeping matters. I think we have an attorney in our audience that he knows, but for the rest of us, that when there's going to be exhibits, if the exhibits we already have, that's fine, let us know. We'll get them up on the screen. If they're new, let us know that they are new exhibits. We'll gladly take a look at them. We just need to mark them accordingly for Amber. And as far as Amber goes, we keep minutes. Let's do our very best not to talk over each other. We won't talk over you. You don't talk over us, again, so we can keep accurate minutes. If you are referring to exhibits, do your best to use compass points or structures instead of saying, if you notice over here or over there. That usually doesn't translate very well into the minutes, so use as best descriptive language as possible. And certainly if you have any questions, we'll do our best to answer them. All right, next. Hopefully everyone has had an opportunity to review the November 3rd, 2025 minutes. And when we're ready, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Make a motion to approve.
Add a second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. All right, first, Phoenix Mills.
Aye.
There,
Again.
again. So, I'm going to just briefly state where we are at this point. Back in December 4th, 2024, this board granted a variance for a pergola.
Yes.
So far, so good.
October.
October, yeah.
October. It wasn't granted December 4th?
Oh, I'm sorry. It says October 7th meeting.
Well, we discussed it at a couple of meetings.
Yeah, so we'll get to that in a second. I think we had two meetings. One was October, and then it was finalized, if I'm not mistaken, December
yes.
4th.
My apologies. I'm
No worries.
looking at
Okay,
not-
so
minutes are
in,
mixed up.
during the, in the minutes, it's reflected both in October and December. You were describing what you wanted it for, and one of the things that was clarified is no lights. And now you're asking for lights. So let's start from there. Why do you want lights, and what is different about this?
Well, to start off with, yes, those are the lights that I'm proposing to put up in the pergola trellis. They're a household light, that an LED light to add some lighting to the bottom to show. My sister is the one that did put the little treasure chest out there, the decorations out there. Yes, my dad had ran an outlet out there. He was going to put Christmas lights for the holiday in there, or maybe some kind of, wrap it with some kind of lights. That's why the outlet was put. My sister thought the outlet, oh, this is nice, I'll get some lights. So honestly, she went, I wasn't in town, she put the lights up, and I said, we can't have those lights there. And I said, I specifically said no lights, and I know I said no lights because I was told no lights. I guess this is the picture of what they look like on. It's just a light to light up the area below to show you know, that we have some flowers and things there. I don't feel like they're strong lights. If maybe you have something else you propose that would be more suitable. But as I said, my sister put them up over a weekend. I was gone, and I came back and I saw they were up, and she thought that they looked nice, and I said, well, we need to get approval for that, which 2 days later, I got the phone call that I needed to take them down, which we did. And then we got the approval for the outlet out there, and approval to have the pergola now. So I guess I'm asking if those lights are appropriate, if that would be okay to have those up, and maybe some Christmas lights during the Christmas holiday, and how you feel about that.
Right, I'm going to open it up to questions. Or Patrick? or
Oh,
anybody?
I would start with the members who are here.
Sounds good. Let's do that. Larry, you were here. What do you think?
My initial reaction is no, primarily because we said no lights. And I think, excuse me, if lights had been involved in the initial conversation, I don't know that we would have given the variance. I don't know that we wouldn't have, but I don't know that we would have. It would have might have made a difference in my vote. So I'm not in favor of this.
Okay. Leah, what do you think?
Okay. Initially, when we met last year, I was leaning towards not approving this. I didn't think it was necessary. I thought just having landscaping, you know, however, once the pergola went up, I really think it looks very nice. You know, so I'm happy I voted that way, but like Larry said, we voted for no lights, but not only no lights, no decorations either. Now, that being said, I thought the pumpkins and the few other things looked nice, but the picture you had with the flamingos, I think that looked horrible. It's tacky. It does not represent what Victor is.
Right.
So I think that was horrible.
Well, we were going off, I think, of what, I believe it's flamingos that Auto Tomatoes does at certain times of the year in the winter, outside on their thing. And yes, I mean, the flamingos can go. We were giving it some light so people could see it at night. It just, you know, and give it a little bit more of a look. It wasn't anything streaming into the sky. I understand. Like I said, I'm kind of the messenger here. And we're looking to kind of give it a little bit of something, a little bit of lights. If it's not, again, that approval, there's some ground lights that are over by the flagpole. I did take a picture of them. You almost see one by the Phoenix Mill sign. It sits right on the top of, like, it would,
Yeah.
it would sit, see that light right there?
Yes, yes.
Okay. If this is not okay, we are thinking if you could have us approved for putting, I don't remember, I'd have to look at my phone what he called them. It's just a light that would go here on the concrete to kind of just softly light it like it does by the flagpole. Yeah,
Okay.
a pillar light.
Okay, now, a couple more questions. So with the light that's at the Phoenix Mills, you know, sign, what hours, is that on all night?
No, nothing is on all night. Everything turns off at midnight.
Midnight.
So everything's on time clock, so those lights in that pergola would have turned off at midnight too. They were on a timer, and actually, they can be on their own separate timer, that they can only stay on for just a few hours if you want, if there's a certain time period, and then turn off.
The next question too is the businesses that are there, Auto Tomato, the other restaurants, what time do they close?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, okay. Now, you said your sister put those lights on. Grant, I know she's your sister, but who owns the property? Because you came here now both times representing this, so who owns the property?
Right, I understand. My dad asked her to go out and make the pergola underneath look nice.
Who
And
owns
yes,
the property?
my dad, yes.
Your dad, but you're here representing your dad. You know,
Yes.
but she went and did that, and like you said, you know, she knew.
Right, she didn't realize. And she goes, well, I thought, when you said, because I said no lights, and she put those in thinking they were just an LED decorative light that you would put at a pergola. I mean, it's something that people put at their house. So she felt lights, you meant like lights, big lights, and I said, I understand, but, we didn't get approval for that. Again, I wasn't,
Because this isn't a house, this is a business, and the variance specifically said that. And as Larry said, because when we approved the variance, we approved it for no lights and no decorations either.
so what do you mean by,
Well,
I don't know, does it
decorations
say
like those-
decorations
I
on there?
did see something, when I stopped talking, I looked
Okay.
to see it, my notes, because last month, when we were supposed to discuss this, I remember specifically seeing that. I'll go back and look at it. But like Larry said, if we specifically approved it for no lights, and I'll say now for no decorations, and we probably would have voted differently if it would have been lights or there would have been further discussions. So, okay, that's all I have.
Patrick, what do you think?
Well, aside from everything, the lights being proposed, they would conform to our lighting code.
Well, Adam, go ahead.
Yep, so the lighting code's a little complex when it comes to decorative lighting.
I saw it, yeah.
There's like time frames, so you can operate within those time frames and be code compliant. If you're gonna go outside those time frames, it requires planning board approval.
What kind of time frame is it?
So for some reason, my comments aren't in my packet here, but let me see if I can find it in the code real quick. So it's 30 days, that part I know. If you want to go, it gets a little goofy. There's a 40-day time frame and then beyond 90 days. Thanks.
So you're kind of talking about holidays, like you can leave them up decorative, that's what that code is talking
So
about.
seasonal lighting, which is like holiday lighting, 40 days in a calendar year cumulatively. Okay, so it's like pick a holiday, or you could do 20 days for this holiday, 20 days for that holiday, however you broke it down. There's another nuance. Decorative lighting during business hours, which you already discussed you would do. The lights would have to be reviewed for compliance with the allowable brightness.
Okay.
And then if it's not considered temporary, so this is where it becomes the 90 days, it's talking about 3 months in a given calendar year. So if you're gonna go beyond that, that's where I believe it comes into the planning board approval process. So to comply with the code, you would have 40 days cumulatively
Throughout the year.
so that you would be code compliant. And then anything beyond that, you're gonna probably be going to the planning board. If you were to have the variance,
Granted.
be amended. Thank you.
Thank you. Does that change anything? Knowing, like, just the window of?
Oh,
40 days?
saying that if you said, yes, you can have the lights, and I would only be able to have them like 40 days through the whole year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it would be great, a good thing for just the holiday season and always, and other than that, and they never be lit. I mean, I guess it's kind of really not the point. We're trying to have it lit to be seen at night I don't know if we can come to a time frame that would be better, if you would feel like if we could have them on from like 6 to 9, I don't know, unless, I don't know if there's a happy medium we could come to, or like I said, if maybe we take those lights down and just those, I know that light, I have it on my phone, I took a picture by the flagpole, as I said, there's those decorative canister lights that just let off a very light light. If those could be put over in by the pergola area, maybe 4 of those, just to kind of give a very light light. I don't know if you know.
Just jump in real quick. And
Okay. Yeah.
last I knew, and I've been living around here quite a while, with daylight savings and all, we're in a window of time where it gets dark quick. 4:30, 5 o'clock. But by March, April, it changes daylight saving. So soon enough, by 5 o'clock, even 6 o'clock, it's light enough. So those lights are probably going to be ineffective for the, let's say, I don't have it off the top of my head, but I'm going to take a guess at mid-spring to mid-fall. It's a pretty significant chunk of time, so having the holiday lights around maybe some times that the code permits might solve your problem, but to ask for a whole window of time that really is not going to have any impact at
Right,
all,
in the
what's point?
summertime, it's not dark until 9:30 at night. Right.
So think about that a minute, go ahead.
No, the question was just around, I think the application is just about lighting. It's not asking for a variance to it's not asking for an alteration to the code. It would be code compliant. It'd have to be code compliant.
It's the duration of time that they want the lights on. So it's the cumulative of the 40 days.
Right.
It's beyond what they wouldn't need a variance if they could keep within the code of the 40 days that they're permitted.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Yes, we're saying the same thing. But this is just an amendment to the previously granted
No lights, right.
variance.
Right, well, we're going to treat it as another variance, but make sure that if it is granted, it's connected. Or for that matter, if it's not, it's
Okay.
still connected to the variance that was granted in December.
Okay. No, I don't have any more questions.
Matt?
So if the pergola was allowed by code, they could have lights on it for up to 40 days without the need for a variance. It's because the variance specifically stated no lights. I'm just trying to make sure I understand that up till 40 days of decorative lights are just allowed by code. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood that, okay. So you answered my question on the hours, they're just white, no, not colored? Lights would just be.
No,
what
that's
would-
that's all that we put in there, yes.
And then not flashing or anything else? Okay, I mean, I
They
wasn't.
look just like
Okay,
what the picture looks,
yep.
yep.
All right, I wasn't on the board when the
Okay,
variance was
sure.
approved the
Yeah,
the
so
first
that's-
time, but I did go out there. I liked it, I thought it was nice. I think it's good having businesses in the community invest more
People
money.
have made comments. They've told us that they like it. The customers have said things that, oh, that looks really pretty out there. You know, there's been very good feedback.
No, I thought it looked nice. I understand the lights. I get also what Mike's saying. No, also if the businesses are closed at 10, I don't know if you would necessarily want to have it lit then after 10, because if I drove by there and saw it on at like 10:30, I would kind of assume, oh, it's still open.
Oh, we
something's
can
there,
have it
something like
turn
that.
off,
Yeah.
you know, at a certain time. Everything's on timer, so, you know, that's why the lights in the plaza turn off at midnight. We usually let it go a little bit longer because Auto Tomatoes people are sometimes in the back and it gets dark. But the lights turn back on at the plaza at 5:30 in the morning for the gyms. But obviously, that doesn't have to come on. I mean, we can have it on when you feel it's fit, like dark to, you know, 10, midnight, to click off. I mean, it can be whatever.
Okay. And then I guess one question for you, Mike, or it might be for Adam or Keith. If they wanted to go beyond the 40 days, and it would also then involve the planning board, would it go first then to the planning board for site plan review before we then actually did anything with the variance to see what their input was, kind of the chicken and the egg?
We could do either. We can either, we deny it, and I don't think the planning board is going to have a look at it.
Yeah.
If we grant it, then the planning board looks at it and says, no, they don't like it. That's a pretty good question.
My only concern was if we
Right,
approved the.
in the event, let's say the hypothetical, the board grants the variance, it goes to planning, and planning says, no, you can't have the lights. Does planning's decision then trump the zoning board's decision on allowing for the lights?
Are you saying the planning board or the planning department?
The planning, the
Planning
planning
board.
department or planning board, Adam?
It would be the planning board.
Yeah, so it's the planning board looks at it, reviews it, and decides that they deny it, even though zoning approved it.
Then they would not be able to proceed.
Okay.
If they're required to get approval from this board and that board, and either one of the boards doesn't grant the approval, they would not be permitted to proceed.
Okay. Answer your question?
Yeah, it does, yep, okay.
Other questions?
Nope, I didn't have anything else.
We sort of have another issue, though, and the other issue is all of the stuff that's there, because we clearly said in the approval that it is only for flowers, shrubs, and greenery. That was under justification 1. And I think that's pretty clear. Now, granted, they're not coming here asking for the other stuff. You want to see the?
Yeah, no, I got the resolution, but where are you seeing that, what's the other, what other stuff are you seeing
Well,
that is?
they already have other things
Oh, because
underneath it.
you're talking about the treasure chest
The treasure chest and all
and the old
other-
chair with the pot in
Chair
it.
and the pot and.
Okay, yep, I see it now, yep, okay. So,
I don't know if that's part of this discussion or part of enforcement of the variance.
all right, so let me at least maybe expand on, I think what Larry's is referring to. We were pretty clear on no lights, and it was supposed to be for shrubs, and now you're showing us a picture, and there's pumpkins and skeletons, and it's when we're not looking, more and more things are getting out there. So our code enforcement, whether it be Adam or whoever it is, can't be expected to go around and make sure they police everything and say, oh, no, you're not supposed to have that, you're not supposed to have that. Next thing you know, the lights come up. So it makes the code enforcement officer job even more difficult. Not only do they look at building permits and make sure everything is right, and then they find out that somebody has either exceeded the bounds of a variance or built something when they're supposed to, a whole host of things that, I know, that's their job, but they don't need more things to do.
Well, I think we're pretty good about coming here and talking to you and keeping things nice and trying to make it a really nice plaza and clean and, yes. And we'd also have a snowman over by the light pole that's lit up for this winter time. You know, we were just trying to make something nice. Maybe my sister went overboard with decorating it. She kind of was given the key and said, here, make something pretty under this, and maybe she went too far. If you want some of that taken down, that's fine. If you don't like, she wanted to decorate it for the holidays. Thought it would be nice.
Do you see where we're coming from? I
I
understand what you're
understand.
describing.
I understand. So you tell me what, if you, I'd like to be able to put some kind of lighting there, if you'd like things to go, whatever,
Have you thought about solar lights?
like just the ones in the ground like those, that's what those flamingos are.
So,
Flamingos,
Is there-
though.
hold-
There
hold
are
on.
other kinds of lights that are not flamingos.
I understand. So,
hold on. Let me ask Adam first. What does the code speak to on solar lights?
I would probably just lump them into seasonal or decorative lighting.
You can have solar lights out there. They go on at dusk, they go off, they don't throw a lot of lumens into the air.
well, is this throwing a lot of lumens in the air? And ruining the dark sky?
They are decorative lights, right? That's what the code is there to, we're not quite, we do some interpretation. There is some idea of intent, and yes, it has to be dark sky compliant. But if I understand the kind of lights that you put up there, 270 lumens, 10 by 10, and it has the ability to multiple colors, it blinks, and
Well, you can do that with it, yes. Obviously, we wouldn't have blinking lights over on the side of 96, yes. But yes, I
we
understand.
don't know. That's part of the problem when we said no decorations of the pumpkins and skeletons and treasure chests, and I know it is your sister.
Well, it would, again, people commented that it looked nice, they thought it would be something nice, and I guess I'm seeking whatever approval you can give me to do whatever we can with this. If it's anything more than just solar lights, or the lights that I was talking about that are over by the flagpole, that sit on those cement blocks, that are just a very light, soft light to give some accent. Again, they turn on and off with the rest of the lights in the plaza.
Have those lights been there a while? I don't.
Long
yeah.
time.
Yeah, so I don't know that those lights comply with the current lighting code, so the zoning board might not be able to approve something that's in conflict with the code without.
Yeah, it's like,
An additional
again,
variance.
it looks really bright in that picture, but it looks like this one on the top of this. I have a picture of it on my phone I took, but that's,
If I may, help me out. When you first came, we all had this discussion. And I understand that you want to make it look nice, and you've had some good comments and all that. And hey, I want the town to look nice. But we had this conversation. And we all said, okay, yeah, you said, we're not going to put any skeletons or blah, blah, blah. this
because
and
I was told no lights.
Right.
So I stood in front of you and said no lights.
Well, but we also talked about no other things.
Again,
Because we
and
specifically
it was,
said,
unfortunately, I'm the representative, if you want to put it that way, mildly, but I'm the one that handles everything. So, I was it's out of my control what she put out there with the skeletons and the treasure chest.
Well, it is your control, because you can then tell her immediately, take it down. And as soon as Adam came and said it doesn't comply with code, you should have taken it down. Because like
Unfortunately,
Larry's
I can't
saying,
do that.
We discussed this last year, and you said no lights, no hanging plants, just greenery and shrubbery. It's in the notes. And now you're coming back and you want lights.
did you want lights? I mean, you wanted lights originally, obviously, because we said.
No,
we
I
said-
did not. I'm following what my dad asked me to do.
Okay.
Okay? So he said, this is what we're going to do, we're doing it. Then they decided to do that, then now I'm here talking about that.
Okay.
Anna, what
Thank
do
you.
we need to find out if the current lights that are on there are dark sky compliant? Is that something you do, or they do, or an applicant does?
So are you talking about the existing light on the pedestal?
The existing
Or are
lights,
you talking about the lights that are displayed in that picture on the pergola?
the lights that are, that's the issue, is the lights that are displayed in pergola.
So that they're like decorative lighting, the dark sky compliant part of the code doesn't apply.
Okay. All right, so what I'm hearing the board, and the other part that I'm looking at as well is there is a period of time in this area that those lights are going to be relatively insignificant because of the daylight that happens. I don't know, I could look it up if I really had to, March, April, when it starts to get light at 5, 6 o'clock. So the lights being on after that in the darker months, in the, what they call it, the solstice, it's only a handful of months. And having the 40 days really gets you a pretty significant period of time to put those lights on and be in compliant of the code. Having it, they go on at dusk and they come off at closing seems pretty reasonable. To leave them on at midnight seems a bit excessive, especially when you have the pergola that's significantly in front of the structure. You got the pergola, that's what you wanted. You said the shrubs are out there. You're right, it looks nice, but there's at some point, there's a limit that variances are really supposed to allow some flexibility to the code, but without breaking it and breaking the intent of the code. Hearing at least the board has a feel for having more out there is pushing the intent of the code to the limit, if not breaking it. So we can, and you had said earlier, said people like it. Who are these people, right?
Just people that drive by or pull in and say, that looks beautiful, or, some of the tenants in there have said, hey, great job out there. People like it for in front of their business. It makes the plaza look nice.
Understood, but what we have, like, another applicant took the time and got a neighbor's opinion to say, we like what's happening here. We approve of, so that's a piece of evidence that we can use. To
Well,
say
I
other-
mean, I
let me-
could get that-
Let me finish a second, then I'll let you finish. Saying other people doesn't really resonate very well with the board. If you had actual witnesses to say, we like this, we like that, if you like an opportunity to do that and go find those people, maybe.
Well, I can bring in the tenants. I guess that would help. Or no?
The board's job is to find out what those facts are. It's not to go out and seek it.
Right.
You're the applicant. It's really incumbent upon you to say, here are my witnesses, here's my proof, here's why I think that you should be granted.
Well, I just thought I didn't need proof. You guys would see how nice it looks.
All right, Susan, can you put up the criteria? All right, so there's the criteria. These are the standards that we look at. I think we've showed you this before in area variances. The character of the neighborhood, is this substantial? Can you find another way to do it and be in compliance with the, there's nothing in there that says it looks nice. That's how we have to look at each and every variance request, no matter it looks nice or not. Those are the standards that we look for.
Okay.
So I oftentimes, and you have the opportunity to, if you like to say, gee, I'd like to go back and find those people, find the tenants. If the tenants say, yeah, it looks nice, it really improves people, something other than this nebulous people that are out there.
Would you like me to come back to the next meeting then?
You would like to and offer some more proof, because I think if the board votes today, I don't think you're going to like the answer. If you think you can provide some more proof for us to say how it's not going to change the character of the neighborhood, because whether it be the tenants or customers or somebody that has said, this is a good thing. Can we have those lights out there?
Now, right now, do I have approval to have the lights on the 40 days, which is, or not? No, not until you approve lights.
I don't know, when did you turn the lights on? 'Cause I
No,
think
the lights
that's
have been
gonna-
down.
That's the
ever
trigger
since-
for your 40-day window.
The lights were down day or
No,
two.
because she's in conflict with the conditions of her variance.
Right.
The code
So,
doesn't
like-
matter. That's why we're here.
Why, if she's in compliant with the code, why would that matter?
The way that the variance was written says no lights.
So she can't even get the 40 days.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Let's do this. Do you want to see what the tenants and neighbors have to say, Matt?
I'm okay with the variance request.
All right, Larry, you interested in more information or not? You ready to vote?
I'm ready to vote.
Leah?
ready to vote.
Okay. You ready? I'm ready to vote. Okay, all right, I guess we're ready then.
Oh, okay.
If you wanted to,
I can bring people here if that's what you'd like. I would ask their honest opinion and if they're willing to come and not just the tenants.
all right, I will give you, I think it's best to give you the opportunity to provide as much proof as you can on explaining to the board why you believe that you should get a variance for the lights.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to table this. Our next meeting is when?
January 20th.
January 20th. Is that okay?
That sounds good.
I have one quick question.
Sure.
Now, you said solar lights. If there's
I'm sorry, who are
solar-
you?
Oh, sorry, this is my fiance. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry,
Okay.
Chuck.
Go ahead.
Now, I heard you guys mention if you use solar lights, it wouldn't be an issue. So let's say if the lights were solar, either the ground ones or even the ones that are hung in the pergola itself, if they're considered solar power, would that make a difference?
I think the problem is going to be is once you attach it to the pergola, you said no lights.
Right,
Okay,
okay.
that's my question.
That's what we have, that's what we base it on. You have at least 2 board members who were here through the three, through the duration, and you were asked, and you said no lights, and it didn't seem to be an issue. The pergola seemed to be the prime piece of, that's what you really wanted in that area. Okay, other questions?
Oh, that's it.
Okay, great, we'll see
I
you next time.
appreciate you giving me the opportunity. Let's see if I can find some people who like it.
All right, fair enough.
Thank
We'll-
you.
We'll see you then. Thanks for your patience.
Give it to me.
Thank you.
No, I have this. Oh, there's another one. Ready?
Ready.
Okay.
All right.
A minute to read this,
Well,
or not?
no, we can. Why don't you go ahead? Let's read it, because we were just handed a document dated December 1st. It is a memorandum, presumably from council.
Yes.
And you are?
My name is Francis Gorman. I represent Milo Enterprises LLC, DBA Good Life Collective. And we are here this evening for an area variance regarding the setback from the Flower City Dispensary.
Okay. Why don't you give us a moment?
Sure.
This is a 4-page document. I'm presuming it is different from the October 30th hand-delivered letter that is addressed to Chairperson Reinhardt, which is me.
That is correct. That is essentially a memorandum of law. So we're, yes.
Mike, has our attorney had a chance to?
Yes, we've received a copy of that memo.
Do you
And
agree
if
with
you
it?
would, we could summarize the position of the applicant regarding this variance, and primarily the position that our town code with respect to retail cannabis dispensaries and the setbacks from one another and how the setback distances are measured are all preempted by state law and state regulations. That is basically, in a nutshell, what the memo of law is submitting. And in simplest terms, this is a unique area variance application. It is a setback one, but it's a setback one associated with a cannabis retail dispensary use. That is a permissible use because this property is located in the cannabis overlay district. But pursuant to state law and the regulations issued by the Office of Cannabis Management, that law and those regs set forth specific limits and parameters as to how retail dispensaries are to be located and approved. And in fact, there's a number of cases that have determined that, in fact, those regs and that law preempt local municipalities' zoning code provisions that try to also apply similar setback distance requirements and ways in which to measure those distance requirements. Under state law, the minimum distance that's permitted between two retail dispensaries is 1,500 feet. And that is measured under the state regs from the front door to the front door of the stores. Our code sets forth a 2,000-foot minimum distance between retail dispensaries, and it's measured from the tax parcel boundary to the tax parcel boundary. And the position of the applicant, and it's a legitimate position, is that in fact the state regs provisions preempt and trump our local code provisions. The applicant has discussed this with council, with the planning department, and they have decided that in lieu of objecting to the town code provisions, making that argument to the town board, and even potentially legally challenging the provisions, that they came before you to give you guys an opportunity to review it and provide any factors or items that you feel you want the applicant to consider or to look at. But bottom line is, the state regs, put the town code provisions in a deferential position. And so, in reality, they could have chosen not to seek an area variance, taking that position, but they've come here, to their credit, to say, we're not going to be that way. We're not going to be confrontational like that. We'd like to just seek the area variance, give you guys an opportunity to speak and be heard, and then move forward from there.
I'd ask one question.
Yeah.
You stated that the state law says a minimum of 1,500. That would suggest that that's not, that means it could be more than 1,500.
Correct. It's basically requires a 1,500-foot separation, which means it's a lesser distance.
No, I
between
understand that,
dispensaries.
but is it a minimum of 1,500, or is
I
it?
think it basically says a 1,500-foot separation as a minimum.
Okay.
It's actually, under the state law, you got to have a setback of 2,000 feet, but you cannot exceed 2,000 feet. So you have to have a setback of 2,000 feet, and it's measured from door to door. Under your code, it's 1,500 feet measured from property line of the two dispensaries at issue. So,
I
and our measurement is.
apologize, I got that in reverse.
No problem.
And the location of the Good Life dispensary is actually 2,100 feet from Flower City Dispensary. So.
Door to door, right?
Door to door. So we are compliant with state law. And as we go through the factors, and I can go through the factors, but one of the factors is your requested variance substantial? And our position is that the requested variance is not substantial because, in fact, we are compliant with state law, which preempts the local law.
So, question for our council. In situations where town law, not this one specific, but when town law is preempted by a state law and it's litigated, it usually favors the state law.
Correct.
Almost always. It's
Almost always, state law has broad preemptive scope over local laws. And in fact, there have been at least one decision out of the Supreme Court Suffolk County that have upheld the preemptive scope of some of the distance requirements and the way they're measured under state law over the town of Riverhead's local zoning code.
okay. So do you want to finish reading? Say, I think the summary is
I'm good with it.
is accurate. Anyone else need time to review it or questions for
No,
council?
my other question was then, regardless then of what the zoning code says, there can't be any dispensaries closer than 2,000 feet based on state law. That would always supersede anything. So no one could come here, say for a variance, say, well, you gave them 500 feet. We can be less than 2,000 feet.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be granting a variance that allows them less of what the state already requires.
Okay.
So another applicant wouldn't come in and say, well, they were 2,100, we want 500, because they're already compliant with what the state regulations are.
Yeah, if you were to measure the distance of the dispensaries under the state calculations, it's 2,100 feet separation between the dispensaries. And it's not just the distance itself, it's also how it's being measured. Under state law, it's measured door to door. Under our law, it was written from tax parcel boundary to tax parcel boundary. And part of the reason is that the local law of the town was drafted just before contemporaneous to the state regs being amended.
Okay.
Can you clarify door to door for me? Does that mean that the closest portion of the business to the closest portion of the business are actually door to door?
Front door to front door.
So the businesses themselves could be closer than 2,000 square feet?
Theoretically, the
2,000 feet.
corner of the building that houses the dispensary could be closer than 2,100.
Be a big building.
Oh, no,
They'd be,
I'm just trying to get it in my head.
reusing a data center possibly, yes.
I don't know if it's that big, but, so again, I think counsel for the applicant has indicated that because of this preemptive situation between state and our law, that the request is not substantial. And if the board members want to entertain, he can also run through the other factors that are required for an area variance.
You have questions for council, or you understand what's, what we're up? Okay, Patrick?
The only way to resolve that, though, would be to sue the town to state that the state law preempts the zoning. It's not a decision that the town can just then, we agree with that decision and understand it preempts it.
I mean, now, the town board has legislative discretion. They could, as a result of an assessment of where OCM and state law is, decide to amend the cannabis overlay district requirements. They choose not to do that, which the town board at this time was not in a position. Yes, the applicant could decide to go to state court, spend a lot of money, and challenge the zoning code.
But that's not a decision, I mean, like, Adam can make it be like, the state law supersedes our zoning, I can't restrict what you're doing because of state law.
I mean, I think it would put Adam in a tough position.
Yeah.
So I think in meeting with the applicant on an informal basis, the decision was, with the understanding that it was going to be explained, the preemptive scope of state law over our code, that they would come here and still seek a variance, area variance from this board. And again, I give them credit because they could have taken the option of challenge it legally.
And it has been challenged in Saratoga Springs, town of Riverhead, and the town of Southampton, and in all those cases which are in the memorandum of law, the state law, is determined to have preempted the local law. And this was laid out in our initial submission, we just expanded it a little bit more.
Were you counsel for those applications?
We were involved in the town of Riverhead litigation.
And how did that turn out?
We won the litigation.
Okay.
And
The court upheld the preemptive scope of the state law over the
Yep.
local code.
Yes, yep, yes.
All right, so I think we can press forward. I think we have a pretty clear idea now what we're looking at. We either can do it two ways. You can finish your presentation, or you can entertain some questions, and it's right here.
Yeah, I mean, in our application, we did go through the 5 factors. So, I mean, I can repeat them, but obviously, Eastview Mall is 1.6 million square feet or something. I do have Morgan Todd here from Eastview, and Mr. Wilmot actually wrote a letter initially in support of the application. I think one reason why it's now $1.6 million is because Ms. Todd did the Bass Pro deal, which is, she was the leasing agent for that, so that's very nice. But our space is basically 1,500 square feet. We don't think it's going to make an undesirable change to the neighborhood.
I think your October 30th letter, hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at it, where you outlined, went through the 5 criteria and the justifications, leaning into this preemption issue. I certainly understand it. If there's questions. Matt, you have any questions?
I don't have any questions for the applicant. I understand the application, all the justification. Concerned that if our board making the decision in regards to that the state law supersedes our zoning, and if we do that, how to condition it so it's very specific and it doesn't open up other.
Well, one, because it, as all cases that we hear, it is a case-by-case basis. This has a big flavor of it being very unique, because you got a parcel that's in the mall, and how it's measured, and how it's been explained by council. I don't think we're going to see very many, if anything like this happening again.
No, and again, just 2 things. One, the variance that would be, if it was given, would only go to this applicant. It has no precedential or, value or impact over other potential applications before you. And secondly, technically, our code has not been overturned by a court. So the code provisions that are on our books are still valid. What I am saying to you is very likely, if they chose to challenge it, that they may very well convince a court that state law preempted it. So but having said that, our code provisions as they stand right now are valid and a basis by which to act on the application.
But the town's law, other than how you calculate it, this variance is for, let me say this again. We're talking about 2,100 feet, and the town only says 1,500. So it's really just the calculation. Am I correct?
It is the distance, our distance setback is larger, I should say, than what the state sets. And the means by which we calculate that distance is different than what the state law. That doesn't mean other aspects of our law that have nothing to do with setbacks or distance requirements are preempted by state law.
Now,
This issue, this particular issue about setback distance and the way it's measured has been, at least on 3
Okay,
or 4
but-
occasions, state courts have determined state law
I'm
preempts.
sorry, you have me confused. The town says 1,500 feet.
Yeah,
The state says 2,000 feet.
correct.
2,000 is bigger than 1,500.
Can I jump in here?
More to it, it's,
And I understand it's
Larry?
how it's calculated. I know.
Right, so one's door to door.
Oh, no, I got
That's
that
the
part.
state,
I just
But
want
the
to.
town's property line to property line, right? Yes. So you could have a building 4,000 feet apart from each other, but their property lines are touching.
Right.
Right, so
No,
it's just, okay.
No, I'm sorry, I got that part. I
Ours
just wanted
ours
to,
is technically more restricted, even though it's a lesser number.
right, because of how the distance is calculated. But the distance itself is larger in the state than in the town.
Correct.
Okay, I'm fine, thank you. You got me.
I get the point you're making
got
now,
me.
sir, sorry. It's been a long day.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And Frank, I just want to clarify one thing, because it sounds really like you're saying, we're supposed to look at this variance based on the town law and not assuming what, what actions an applicant may or may not take based on state law, correct? It's just you're letting us know, what the state law is and how it, there's a little conflict with the town law.
No, what I'm saying to you is, their application for area variance goes to the setback requirement.
Right.
And that setback requirement, under our town code, how it is calculated, is very likely preempted by state law.
Right.
They're not asking for a variance for anything else related to the retail dispensary, just that distance. And so what I'm saying is, they are giving you the opportunity to talk about this and weigh in, but in reality, if the board were to base its decision to deny it on the distance requirements as it's calculated under code, very likely would be challenged successfully in court.
So, and I think to take it further, that I think our counsel said it earlier, that as of this very moment, our code that speaks to this distance measurement is still valid. It hasn't been challenged yet. There have been other municipalities that similar law has been challenged, and the court has overturned the code saying state law overrules, preempts the local law. So by looking at it, we can certainly, if the board decides, grant the variance and still hold that law is still valid. It doesn't negate the law that we have on the books. It just takes into account that it's there, we're recognizing it, but we're still going through the criteria and analyzing it appropriately.
Yeah,
And also, I mean, with the other towns, the decision that was made, the town of Riverhead is very different from Victor. It's a lot more dense.
yeah, but
for that.
unfortunately, that's
Doesn't
not a
this-
factor that the state law takes into consideration, other than we are a town that's 20,000 or less population. And I believe Riverhead.
Has a
and-
lot more.
Yes.
But Saratoga and some of the other municipalities may not.
In towns that have greater than a 20,000 person population, the distance between dispensaries is 1,000 feet. measured door to door. But, talking this through with your council, our thought was, rather than being confrontational, if we went through the 5 factors, which we laid out in our letter, I think the only factor that I think this plays into is whether or not the variance that we request is significant. And we're saying it's not significant because, in fact, under state law, we're compliant. And based upon the court decisions that we set out in our October letter, and then some additional ones that have come down since then, we think it's not as significant. And the other issue is, if you look at the mall, I mean, you've got, Old Navy, you got 1.5 million square feet of retail between the 2 locations. So, our feeling is laid out in our papers, that we meet the 5-factor test, and we felt that this was a better way to approach this issue than to file an application or get denied and then commence an Article 78 action, because, we thought this was more efficient and being a better neighbor, because we hope to be in the community for a long time, and the folks at Wilmerite and Eastview Mall are, happy with our client, and that's why Ms. Todd's here tonight.
Answer your question?
The only thing I would also add is they do, if you are granted, they do still have to go to the planning board for approval from them as well.
Okay, so I'm going to ask everybody, in my mind, again, the October 30th, I think, lays it out. And thank you for spelling out, going through the criteria in an efficient way. Sometimes some applicants just say, no, it's not going to change it.
Yes,
You put some, if you will, some teeth into your argument.
thank you.
So if everyone's had a chance to look at that, if there's questions about moving forward and looking at criteria, the justifications that council has offered for us, I'd be happy to entertain them. Larry, do you want to start?
Adam, how far away is it based upon the town?
If I may.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And this was in our package. The front door.
Hold on. She can't hear you. so-
sorry.
You can just speak into a microphone. I know.
You can actually
Phone's
pass it
there.
around. So,
No, I've seen it. I'm just, no, the only question I have, and it's very simple, is based upon the town's calculation, how far away are the 2 pieces?
I have to look at the map, but I want to say 600 some odd feet. Is that accurate?
610 feet from property line to property line.
Okay, thank you. I'm good.
Leah, questions?
Come back to me a minute.
All right, so just for clarification, the 610 feet is the variance you're requesting. That's the difference.
610 feet is the current distance. And you are, under your town code, the distance it's a 1,500-foot distance measured from property line to property line.
But you want a variance to 600 feet.
No, so I guess our variance would be
900.
900 feet.
900.
Okay, that's the number, I think, what we,
Under your code, it'd be 900 feet. But our position, and so the question is that variance substantial? And our position is, it's not substantial because the measurement's actually 2,100 feet. So it's a further greater setback than what's required under state law, and state law is controlling.
I understand, I think, so let me just make sure I get it right for our board. If we were going to use our code, you would be asking for a variance of 900 feet. If you look at state law, you don't need a variance.
Correct.
So if this board grants a variance for 900 feet, would that satisfy council and/or your client? And if we're going to recognize that the state law is there, but you're looking for a variance, wouldn't we have to then to grant a variance that's in line with our state law, or our code?
Yes,
Otherwise, what
Yes.
are we granting a variance for?
right, yes.
You got to plug a number in. That's
Yes.
why I'm asking for the 900.
Yes.
Right, it makes sense?
Yes.
You agree?
Yeah, because the town code is 1,500 feet, measure property line to property line. Currently, it's 610 feet, so we're roughly 900 feet short, yes.
Okay. So, for council, if we're looking at this and we're looking through the criteria, if we recognize that if our town code is challenged, it very well could be preempted, but if we're to grant a variance, it would be for 900 feet, keeping in mind that the state law could preempt it if it were challenged.
Yeah, that's basically, you know, under our town code, they're seeking approximately 900-foot variance. But under the state law, which, you know, has preemptive scope on the issue, they would not need a variance.
But what I'm, as chair, what I'm trying to do is thinking about drafting a resolution is what does the language in the resolution look like so as to not completely override our code, but keeping in mind that the state law is there, potentially telling us that it's going to get preempted if it were challenged.
So if the language was as part of a granting of the area variance, it would be an acknowledgement that under our code, the variance is being given for 900 feet, but with the understanding that state law has preemptive scope on the issue, and that under state law, variance is not required.
Got it. Thank you. Where were we? Larry, questions? More questions?
No, I do have one more question on whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. And I know it's not one of our criteria that kills anything, but this is a self-created. I mean, you literally could put it somewhere else.
I don't know.
Not really with the Cannabis Overlay District, and our position is not self-created because we're compliant with state law.
Right. I think this is one of those cases where, in a self-created analysis, you look at the parcel and it's more of, can you comply with the code with the parcel that they're looking at? And council's argument is, well, of course we can, because we believe that state law is going to trump your town law, so we didn't self-create it. The state law says we can do it, we can do it.
Okay.
And obviously, the magic words on self-created for area variances is not dispositive.
There we go. Okay?
Thank you.
You good? Go ahead, Leah. Got questions?
I mean, I understand everything from both councils. I'm not arguing that, but are we, you know, we're here looking at the town variance. Are we really supposed to look and say, well, the state law is going to trump this, so should we kind of disregard the town laws because this is going to be the eventuality? That's the problem I'm having.
I think what potentially can happen, and I think what both of our councils are saying is, at some point in time, if we deny this variance, that more than likely it's going to be challenged.
Right.
And the likelihood of a court, a proper jurisdiction, is going to say, no, town code, state code trumps the town code. So then it goes back to the town board. The town board then has to rewrite or recreate that law because now it's void.
It would be ultra vires, it would be null and void, but I think also, and counsel for the applicant weigh in, it's their position that it goes also to substantialness, that because of the preemptive scope of the state law, that the requested variance is not substantial in nature. So that does tie into a factor that you consider under the variance application.
It's, what's looming out there is the state law needs to be considered. It's there, it's a valid law. We can't ignore it.
Right.
We can choose, though, to go through the criteria and saying, well, we're going to use our measurements, and we're going to base it on what we think is substantial and all of the criteria that we're supposed to be looking at. But more than likely, council's client's going to say, go ahead, go litigate it. You won it before, you're going to win it again, and it's going to be costly to the town and costly to the clients, and going to create more of a problem than I think what council's trying to do here is do it in a more efficient, less costly way.
And I get it, I understand it. But doesn't, for the town record, don't they want to see, justification that we did as a zoning board, town zoning board, that we did our due diligence to address the town codes?
I think we are.
You are doing your due diligence. And again, the fact that this area, the way the distances are being calculated, is very likely preempted by state law. It reduces the substantial scope of the requested variance, because theoretically, under state law, they don't even need a variance. So that is your due diligence. You're considering this as part of your assessment as to whether the requested variance is substantial in nature.
I might point out, I'm not sure that even if we leave state law completely out of this, that this isn't a reasonable request for a variance anyway, when you know, considering the fact of how far the two buildings are, or the two businesses are from each other. I'd consider this under that. If they came and said, okay, we know it's supposed to be only, 2,000 based upon its calculation, but look how far these places are far apart. I'm not sure we wouldn't have had a discussion at that point, even without the overriding of the state.
I don't disagree, but you also
Yeah.
consider what bar you're measuring it with. We have to be careful on not to completely look at our code and say, this is the criteria, this is what we're looking at. Yes, they need 900 feet, and base it on that and that alone. I think it's an error for this board not to consider and not to at least weave into a resolution, should this board grant it, to recognize that that state law is there and must be considered. Is a factor in how we're going to decide on this thing. More questions on this side? Matt, Larry, Leo?
Nope, I'm good.
Good over here? Sorry.
No, you're fine. I don't know. So the variance would go with the parcel, or would the variance go with the lease agreement?
It always goes to the parcel. I think is going to be if your client decides to move the location. I say, because it's going to be a different distance.
There is a relocation clause in the lease, but
It's
Eastview
not
Mall
door-
LP can only relocate it within a compliant area.
I think even though it's granted to that specific location. If that location's moved and the distance changes, I think you need a new variance unless.
Correct, but to answer the gentleman's question, this is a unique area variance. Most area variances, I want to build a structure within, shorter than the permissible setback distance. This is actually an area variance that goes to the use that's being requested to be located on the parcel. Say they decide they no longer want to run a cannabis and Gap wants to go in there, the minimum distance setback would not apply to that use at all. So it really only goes to the parcel to the extent that a retail dispensary cannabis shop is there.
And okay, no, that's helpful. And our variance is not changing the way it's measured. It's still going to be property line to So where I'm going with this is like, could we find ourselves in a unique scenario where we're being asked from a door-to-door measurement on the same parcel? Like, is this parcel big enough where if you look at where their buildings exist today, you could in theory have multiple dispensaries on the same parcel? That's a different, that's the same that's all on the same property line, but door to door is different.
Door to door would be different. I mean, first of all, it's a permitted use within the retail overlay district.
Yeah.
It's only being triggered by this particular area where they want to propose it, this variance need. There may be other places on the parcel that meet both our and state requirements. It's just in this particular location, they do need a variance under our code for 900 feet,
Right.
with the understanding that with the preventive nature of the state law, they wouldn't even need a variance under state law.
If we granted the variance and this particular organization went out of business and a different cannabis business went in there, the variance stays, right?
Variance would stay in that scenario, most likely.
Except under your code, another operator would have to come back and get planning board approval. Because under your cannabis overlay district, you have to go to the planning board, and if there's a change in use or change of operators, then, you have to go back to the planning board for approval.
That's absolutely correct, but that's not the question you asked. You were asking about the variance.
Can I ask a question, just for future enforcement, just so I understand? So this variance, this property line, I understand. If they were to go out of business, or if they were to be relocated to the mall, does their permit with the state is verifying that 2,000-foot distance when they grant their permit?
That's a question for applicant's counsel.
Okay, I apologize. So does the state reviews that door-to-door distance when they grant the
Yes.
permit?
It's called proximity protection.
Okay, so
And you
if,
apply to the state for proximity protection, and it's only granted if you're 2,000 feet or further from another dispensary.
okay, because suites in the mall tend to jockey around, and so if they were to be relocated within the mall, they would have to reapply to the state?
You do have to notify the state if there's a change of location.
Okay.
Yeah.
The state would then verify that 2,000-foot door-to-door distance within the mall.
Yeah, so like let's say, for example, I think Mr. Coates was suggesting that if you had another store in the property, you would still have to be 2,000 feet from that other store. And,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, the mall is big, but I'm not sure it's that big.
No, that part I understand. I just, if they were to be relocated at a distance less than 2,000 feet, the
And
state.
we're also hoping
Yeah,
that Ms. Morgan Todd doesn't relocate my client.
Very good.
State regs.
Thank you.
Good, we're good.
Mr. Chairman, I just also want to know for the record that the application is considered a type 2 action exempt under seeker under 6 NYCR 617.5C 16 of the seeker regulations.
Thank you. Anyone for or against? Anyone from the public want to speak for or against the application? All right. Anything else you want to add?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. What's your timeline on the board's decision?
We appear before the planning board on December 9th, and we would like to get our approvals in place so that we can start constructing the store and get it opened as soon as possible. We have a free rent period, but that free rent period is burning off.
Okay. Our next meeting is when?
January 20th.
What does that do? What you call it, a burn-off period?
It's a free rent period.
Okay.
So, and it's from the lease execution, so it's 4 months, so. And we have that time period in which to get our approvals.
What I would like to do is, given that this is very unique, sensitive, we want to make sure we get it right, I'd like to work with council and make sure that the language of the resolution and the justification fits appropriately so as not to ignore the state law and not to completely override and dismantle our town code. Would that be acceptable?
Obviously, we'd prefer to start apply for our building permit on December 10th, assuming we get site plan approval. But yes, that is acceptable, Chairman.
I think, hopefully, I think we're going in the right direction. I think we just want to make sure we get it right so that whether it be a month, a year, whatever, whoever looks at this resolution, it's spot on, accurate. All right, we're good with that? So we're going to table it until the 20th.
Is the public hearing closed?
I would prefer leaving it open. Is there, go ahead.
I mean, I don't see a need to. I mean, there doesn't seem to be much public engagement, but that's the discretion of the ZBA.
Everyone good with closing it? Because I agree with council. I don't think there's any need to unless you think there's some more information.
I'm fine with it.
Fine closing.
All right, so let's close it. And the last thing we're just going to do is, I'd like to work with council, again, get that language right with the resolution, so that come the 20th, it should be a short presentation for you, and we'll walk through the criteria and get you taken care of.
All right, all right, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, members.
Thanks for your patience, thanks for your presentation. O'Callahan, 6839 Valentine Road.
Thomas O'Callahan?
Hello, Thomas.
Yep.
You have a garage you want to
Yes, please.
put on, and if I understand briefly, just to keep it all moving, the foundation,
It is 10,
fine, it's the overhang that
yep,
you need some help with.
To correct that, the foundation is also within the 15 feet, but the distance provided was, for the accuracy of the variance, the measurement needs to be taken to the eave, not the foundation. But the foundation is also within the 15 feet.
Okay, so then, is the number different than what we have in our packet?
distance to setback is 9 feet, 1 inch and change. I think the code that we originally thought was 10 foot, but it's really 15 feet. So we're off by 5 feet, 11 inches.
If we keep it to 6 feet, that should get you, if you're asking for 6 feet, putting that, you need something more.
It's 15 feet is the code according to Adam. The setback originally, we thought it was 10 from what we had read.
You had referenced the village code.
Yeah, it was the village code is 10, the R2 code that we're in is 15.
Our code is 15 feet, and what are you asking for?
I'm asking for a 9.1,
All right.
please.
9 feet 1 inch or 9.1 feet?
9 feet, 1 inch, please.
9 feet, 1.5 inches based on your
Yeah.
survey.
We got, thank you.
Well, let's make sure that,
9.1 feet would get you there,
Yeah.
though, yeah. So that'd be about 9 feet, 2 inches.
5 feet 11 inches, okay.
9 feet, 1 inch. Hopefully you're not cutting that too close. All right, go ahead, your presentation.
So we had Hanlon Architects draft up the design, so everything's there with BGA Builders taking care of the construction. We have pictures from the line of where the lot line is to where the corner of the building will be. And we're just asking for the zoning variance to be close to that setback.
Foundation hasn't been, nothing's been started, we're just
Oh,
looking
no.
at plans.
So we're just waiting for this to happen before they apply for the building permits, and the builders will take care of the rest of the permitting. and
Thank you for not building the whole thing and asking questions
Oh,
like.
no, yeah, no. We try to get ahead of this before anybody else
Good.
put time into it, so.
So if I look at the plans, it's 996 square feet.
Correct.
An
It's
additional
it's a
garage.
garage with a little bonus room above it. Would be the office for the wife.
Living space?
Existing stays,
There's no living space up there. It's a bonus room for,
yeah, it's an office, just, that's it'll be attached off the master bedroom, but it's just an office.
all right.
Because it won't be accessible from anywhere else in the house other than through the master.
All right. Leah, questions?
Your lot is 3.1 acres.
Correct.
And I assume you don't know what acreage your neighbor's lot
It's
is.
actually mirrored, because he used to own both the lots.
Oh,
And
so
they
it's
split
the
it
sa-
off to sell it to the people that built the house that we're in now.
Okay, so it's the same thing. Now, on the photographs you had, there were some like lines in it, so I couldn't see. So do you have an existing garage now there, and
It's
that's
a ve- it's-
under the?
Yeah,
like,
under the master
Hold on,
bedroom
hold
is
on.
a two-car garage.
One at a time, so if you could.
Yeah,
Let her
okay.
finish the question, then go ahead.
Gotcha.
As I said, I couldn't really see. So you have an existing garage, and it has like the master bedroom above it, as you were saying earlier.
Yes, correct.
So is that a one or two-car garage?
It's a two-car garage, but it's small.
Yeah, understand. So you want to build this, that then it'll be attached to the existing garage, and then, like you said, you're going to build that little office, and that'll only be accessible from the master bedroom.
Correct.
And right adjacent to where this is, like this 9 feet, 9 feet 1 inch that you're asking for, what is that topography, like right next to it goes into the neighbor's property? Is it flat? Does it slope a little?
It slopes up into the neighbor's apple orchard.
So it slopes up, not down?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, as you can see in the photo below, how the garage is below grade. And we'd just be
Right.
kind of leveling it out into that.
Okay, so, yeah, like I said, with the lines, it's hard to see. So I do see where the garage is underneath, and then next to it, is that flat, or you still have to excavate some next to it?
But behind it is flat. It's just in the front that you'd have to
In the front.
excavate and go into it.
Okay, got it. Okay, that's all I have for now.
Larry, questions?
The bonus room will be 996 square feet?
It'd be a little less because the way the roof line is kind of working, but yes, it'll be generally that.
Could it be used for living?
The way this, like you'd access it through the master bedroom, no. Because there's not stairs like coming up through the garage or anything.
An office is living space.
Oh, yes, then yes.
Do we have any restrictions on?
Nope.
Okay. Did you look at other, and I know it's, you put a garage next to a garage. But did you consider anything other than
So
there?
when we were working with Hanlon Architects, they told us that going in front of the property was something that was more difficult for Victor, like to have the attached structure. And then aesthetically, the design currently was just to match the current structure of the house. So that was the extent of what we did.
And looking at this map here.
Yep.
And I'm looking at the color map that says my map, and then I'm looking at the architectural site plan. This is the same thing, right?
Correct.
Same direction? This is, so the road's coming out from Valentine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to get that in my head. In the, I have no other questions.
Yeah. You're good? Did I go the wrong way?
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt.
It's okay. So from looking at what you submitted, it seemed like you thought the setback was 10, so you were designing it to meet the setback.
Originally, yeah,
So if you knew the setback was 15, would you guys have just then designed it to meet the setback? Because I don't,
it doesn't make sense to have a garage that's that, like to have the width at that level. Like, I think we would have probably thought to position it not attached to the house.
or like, would you have slid it forward, like, kept the same design, but then?
We could have pushed it forward
Pushed it
more.
forward like
Yeah,
12
but
feet.
that would have been kind of weird for the structure of the house. It just wouldn't have looked
It would have needed a
uniform
variance.
to everything else, but
Adam, they would have needed a variance to,
No, so this is an accessory structure, this is a building addition. So he's well far enough off the road to meet the front setback.
okay.
But to move it forward, there would have been structural issues tying it into the existing
Correct.
house, so.
yeah, the
Yeah.
roof line
roof line
and
is-
drainage would have been different.
Okay, so it'd be, so to slide it forward, there'd be a much more complicated and costly
Correct.
project.
Yes.
If you narrowed it up, you would start to lose the functionality of the
Correct.
garage.
Yes.
What about if you trim that back corner? Would that be the same
The,
issue as well then?
it would have been the same issue, yeah.
Okay. All right, and then the letter we have from your neighbor, that's the neighbor that's on
That we're adjacent to,
east side.
correct.
Okay.
Yep, and they're very supportive of the addition.
How far is the addition to their structure? You have
Oh.
Roughly,
I would say 400, 500 feet.
thanks.
He's very centered in his lot.
That's right.
I got nothing more. They were good.
Right, I think most of this has been covered. You gonna have water in that bonus room?
Nope,
Heat?
yes.
Pretty
Mr.
cold up
Yeah,
there.
like one of those split units with AC and heat pump, yes.
Would anyone from the public want to speak for or against the application? Susan, we're good? Okay. Any more questions from the board? I think we have a pretty good idea of what's going on here. Larry, just a general thought on this? Comfortable with it, just looking
Yes,
at the
I'm com-
criteria?
I am comfortable. I think the fact that they were able to give us the neighbors in support of it and what they tried to do to meet the code that they thought they were hitting and based upon their structure and how it fits. Yeah,
Matt?
I'm good with it.
Leah?
I'm fine.
Patrick?
I'm fine. Yep.
Okay, let's go through the criteria, unless you got something else you want to add.
Thank you very much.
Good, okay. First, criteria, as an undesirable change would not be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties created by the granting of an area variance. The applicant provided a instrument survey indicating that the residence primary structure is approximately 600 feet from Valentine Road. What is being considered here is an addition, garage addition of 996 square feet, asking for 9 feet 1 inch. It's on 3.1 acres. There is some topo issues on moving the garage to a location that would be the topography issues make it difficult to move the garage to a different location. As far as moving it further north, aesthetics, costly structure, And also, if it were to be narrowed, the functionality would be minimized. Would anyone like to add anything further to the first criteria? All right, hearing none. Second, the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. If I could just mirror the justification that I indicated on criteria number 1.
Yes.
Would anyone like to add anything further to the second criteria? Third, the requested area variance is not substantial. The applicant is asking for 9 feet 1 inch. Would anyone like to add anything to the third criteria? Fourth, the proposed variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. We haven't heard anything that would concern us regarding the physical and environmental conditions. Fifth, the alleged difficulty is self-created. Would anyone like to add anything to the fifth criteria or consideration for conditions? All right.
Should we put in number 4 that the neighbor, the primary neighbor
Yes, thank you.
affected?
That's a good idea. Let's do that. That no one spoke against. We have a neighbor, Robert Beswick, that's sent us a letter supporting the application. Thank you.
And he's the only one who's really affected.
Right.
Right. Okay, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Carried. Thanks so much.
Thank
Good
you.
luck to you. Thanks for your patience.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
FLX Dog.
Yes, good evening. I'm Janine Weck, and I actually have some papers here that, well, I made 10 copies, but don't know if I need 10. The letter from the property owner, and the redone fence.
All right, let me just jump in real quick. We
Sure.
do want to hear what you have to say.
Sure.
The county planning board needs to review this. Do you know how that works?
I
If you do, I can explain it if you,
I think I have an understanding of it. It goes here, then it goes to the county planning board, and then it comes back here.
correct. And depending on how they look at it, will dictate what we're required to do.
Okay.
So if, for example, they say something like it's a type 1, we can vote however we like. If they recommend a denial, then our board by law is required to, if we're going to approve it, it's a majority plus 1. So we're a board of 5, 3 plus 1 is 4.
Okay.
Okay? So we can't make a decision today, but we do want to hear your application. So
Yes, thank you. So we are tenants in 7275. We're renting 5,000 square feet. We actually, when I say we, I own FLX Dog LLC. We are shifting over to become a kennel club, so we have a board who's managing the club aspect of that. And the split actually is because I had to take out a home equity loan to get this going. And so in order for me to get some of my money back, I have the LLC portion, which my plan was to run a dog daycare as at the start until we got enough membership in the club to phase out the daycare. So the problem, which is self-created, when I spoke about the code to the office, I forget who exactly I talked to, they said you can't have a kennel. And in my mind, as a dog person, a kennel is a place where you raise dogs. And I didn't want a kennel. I didn't even want to do boarding. So I just wanted them having them there during the day. As I'm reading the code, I realized that kennel encompasses all of those things. And so we need that daycare program to subsidize the club to pay the rent. Frankly, the rent's awfully expensive. We just moved from Phelps, and it's about $2,000 more a month for the club, and it's not affordable if we don't run the daycare, until we get enough members in the club. So I'm just seeking to be able to run that daycare. We're talking about, if we get 10 dogs a day, that would cover it for us. I'd be thrilled. I don't want a volume daycare. In fact, we're not even really running it like a daycare. It's called a day school, and we rotate dogs through training. So every dog has a training plan, and it's not group play all day long. So it's a different sort of model. I'm not a daycare person. I never wanted to run a daycare. This is really to subsidize the rent until we can fully be up and running as a club. So the majority of the daycare, let's call it that, would be inside. That has always been the plan. The dogs will be walked to be pottied outside. The fence request is really so that we have a safe area to walk the dogs, so that in case they get off leash, they're not running toward a road. It really is a safety. Some of the people that I'm planning on having help are students or former students of the Wayne Finger Lakes BOCES animal program. And just from a safety standpoint and mitigate my own risk, I want to make sure that we have a fenced-in area where they're walking and having the dogs outside. So the fence request actually has been scaled back. The fence originally was going to be coming out what I thought was the side door. It turns out it's the front door. It is considered on the front of the property. So rather than having it come around the corner of the building, it would stop at the corner of the building, which then would become the, I guess, side or back. I'm not sure which it's considered for the fence. So I'm not sure that it needs a variance for that. I think that's just a straight fence permit.
There seems to be confusion. However, these parcels came to be, this area, this is where the Hadlocks building is. It's split into 3 parcels. And 2 of the parcels are as big as the building. And then the parking lot and all the surrounding area is a 3rd parcel. So you're requesting a variance for a fence on somebody else's property.
Correct.
And although your mailing address is 7275 in your application, this map says 7273, but you have the right tax map number. So somebody who owns the parking lot would need to authorize the request for that variance.
And I have a letter. It is Patricia McMillan who owns the property, and she has provided a letter saying that she is acceptable for the use of the property. Essentially, the way that they have worked it over the past, I guess, 30-plus years, whatever it is that the 4 acres, that the entire parcel of 4 acres has been shared use between the 2, it had been 2, it was Hadlocks and then the furniture store or something before that, but between the people who were in the buildings, just shared use of that property. So they're amenable to continuing the shared use, have no problem with putting a fence outside as indicated in the picture, and even just use of even more property. They're fine with me walking the dogs and just, using that property as a way to just walk dogs. And that's the letter that I have from her.
All right, hold on to the letter. Wait,
Okay.
Actually, let's see the letter.
I have 10 copies, I don't know if you need 10.
Thank you.
Hadlocks is that side. Yeah, I don't know which, so Hadlocks is on 96, facing the building, Hadlocks is the.
So my concern is, let me ask Adam, the fence in and of itself, would it need a variance? Whoever the property owner is, would they need a variance?
If the fence doesn't exceed your front entrance and is just behind the building, it wouldn't require a variance, but the application for the permit would need to come from that property owner.
Okay.
But it also would require site plan approval from the planning board because it's commercial property.
Okay, so that's what I'm leaning into. As much as I appreciate the letter, it needs to come from the property owner, whether it be building permit, a variance, but whatever it is, whatever the ask is, that's a separate piece from what you're looking for.
Okay.
If they say you can walk the dog on their parcel, that's fine. But when you start putting a shovel into the ground and having structures there that require building permits, the property owner needs to be the one that says, this is what I'd like to do. So that person who owns the parcel, if they want to put a fence up there for you and allow you to use it, their business on how they let other people use it, but they need to be the ones to ask for the building permit,
Okay.
right?
They can
Adam?
provide a letter of authorization. If you put yourself as the applicant, they would still need to sign off as the property owner.
Okay, so the letter that I've provided is not sufficient for that? Is that-
It would have to come in with your fence permit application.
Okay. so
But
if
you
I-
would first need site plan approval from the Town of Victor Planning Board before we can approve a building permit for a fence on a commercial property.
Okay.
Okay.
You
No
want
variance would be
For the
required.
fence.
That's fine. And I don't really care about the fence if we can't get the other variance, because in that case, I wouldn't put in a fence.
There, okay, understood. So we're going to hold on to the letter about the fence. Didn't want to cut you off, so are you,
No, that's it. That is it.
all right. Patrick, you want to keep in the same order, or you want to?
You could, yeah, you're in a roll.
Oh, all right. Let's go that way. Matt, what do you think?
The Kennel Club.
Yes.
I get, can you explain the business? Because I just
Sure,
honestly
sure, yeah.
don't even
So
understand
a
what it
kennel
is.
club is actually it's a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And it's run by its members. And kennel clubs are fairly common. So AKC is a major kennel club, right? And then clubs roll underneath AKC and abide by their bylaws and their insurance and all that. I'm not sure that we'll be an AKC kennel club. There's a lot of things in an AKC kennel club that some of us aren't fans of, but a kennel club in and of itself, it's a 503c7, which is a recreational club. So people get together and train their dogs. And the purpose of this building is really so that we can come together and have an indoor space to do dog sports, which is what we all love to do.
Okay.
I'm sorry, dog what?
Sports.
Sports, okay, got it.
The hurdle jumping and racing.
Right,
stuff
right.
like that.
Agility, fly ball, obedience, all of
Okay,
those
so
things.
it's not like it's set up as like, oh, it's a boarding facility that members pay to use, and then you can just board your dog there and there, stuff like that.
No,
Okay.
no, it's really was designed to be a dog sport business. And the reason it was a business is we hadn't formed a board yet. And I was taking out loans, and nobody was going to give a loan to a kennel club that, is brand new. So I had to take out home equity loans and such, all of the money. I probably got $60,000 into this thing at this point, my hobby. It's not generating revenue. So in order to make it so that we can pay the rent,
Yeah.
that's why it's separate. But the LLC will phase out it soon, I hope, very quickly.
That'll be a daycare for dogs.
Right, we're gonna
75
run the
collars.
daycare just as the LLC. It also has a whole nother insurance structure and liability structure. But the building is really meant for the club and training and running classes, mainly classes and workshops.
Is the club an allowed use, and then it's just the day boarding that's just to try to fully understand?
Yeah, so we had multiple conversations, and it seems like the situation evolved as she got into it, whereas now it's meeting the definition of our town code definition of a kennel, and which requires a special use permit from the town planning board. And in that, it says the 2 acres of land, which we recently visited. In this particular case, because of the way that this parcel was subdivided at some point, the parcel is less than 2 acres, but the common area that the parcel is sharing would meet that criteria, but the way the code's written, it would still require the area variance. So
So if it was more of a standard, a typical commercial property, you see single parcel
Had-
subdividing out the whole
had
thing.
this building not been subdivided like this, the parcel would have
And we're not here for
been
that.
big enough.
Okay.
But the way the code's written, it's by parcel, so
And then does the town have, as part of any sort of approvals, any REAs or any easement agreements on file that would show us that it's still one overall parcel and like another owner couldn't just go and cut her water, electric, gas because there's no easement rights over it?
that would be on file with the county. It's not something the town would have.
Okay. But I mean, as part of like site plan approval or anything, there's not like, or when they subdivided the lots, there's nothing that,
It was likely that easements were created, but
Okay.
having the language of those easements, we wouldn't have that.
I mean, I do know that the buildings share a septic system, and they treat it as a condominium sort of arrangement where jointly pay for upkeep of the parking lots and the lawn and
So you have
things.
rights then over, so you have, part of your lease, you have rights over the parking lot and your
We have,
utilities and all
correct,
that
it's,
stuff.
yeah,
Okay.
just full use of the parking lot and any of the space around it.
Okay. That's all I had.
Is your lease with the owner of the parking lot or the building?
My lease is with the owner of well, the owner of the building. The building is in the process of being sold, and so it's my understanding that they're supposed to close this week. So the lease was written by the new owner, who's an attorney, and that will be assumed by the new owner.
And the new owner, so we're clear, will own part of the building, not the entire building?
No, the new owner will own the entire building. The current owner is leasing back a portion of the building.
Okay.
So it would be completely owned by Jordan, by the new owner.
And they own the parking lot?
No, they only own the building and the land the building sits on. The parking lot and all of the space around the building, including the rim of the grass around the building, is owned by Patricia McMillan.
Right, if you, I think it,
Never seen
I
that.
know you don't have it, but the best picture that I saw is on Encore. So what you have is, on the aerial, you have two buildings adjoining to each other. That shows part of it. So what you have is one building with a tax ID number, and then adjoining it, another tax ID number, separate owner, and then the third, the parking lot that goes all the way around it, is a different owner.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
see the third tax ID number in
Yep.
the upper
Right.
left-hand corner.
It's,
then.
I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that before.
I didn't expect that when I leased either. It all started to unfold to me as I had to speak to at least 4 different people to understand what was going on because everyone was doing this. So when I got into this lease, I didn't anticipate this at all.
That is weird. Downstate, the parking lot owner would charge for the parking spots.
Right, and I think it's a family relationship between the property owner and the Hadlocks building itself. So all of it was built by the Hadlocks, and then they decided to abandon their plans to use that portion of the building for their intent, and they put the firewall between and then sold off that portion of the building.
Holy mackerel.
More questions, Larry?
Yes, I do. Is the 503c7 organization been approved?
Yes. Yes, it has its own EIN and it's an actual entity. It just isn't on the lease. I am personally responsible for the lease. It's not even FLX Dog LLC. It states it on the lease, but I am personally the signatory on the lease.
What would your relationship be to the 501c3 or C7?
So I
503c7?
would technically be a member, and eventually, again, the LLC will just be dissolved. I'm not even on the board. The board is a separate, we have a separate entity board.
Until that point, would they be contracting with your LLC?
Until that point, what we're doing is the club will pay rent directly to the owner of the property, a portion of the rent. The LLC would pay a portion of the rent to that. So we're trying to split it financially so that all of the work that's being done in training and classes and any events is on the club side, and only the daycare is renting the building during the day for the day school.
Do you have any legal agreement written up with all that in it?
Not at this point, no, because everything is done under the LLC at this point. The board exists in terms of an entity. They are in the process of taking it over. So we are working on getting insurance for the board members because, from a liability standpoint, they're running the grand opening. They're really serving as volunteers. The company is not making money, and so we're not concerned about that because I, as a member, am not benefiting in any way from this club. Really would like to get a paycheck at least, but that would be nice. So there's no revenue actually being generated out of this company at this point, which is why we're moving to an LLC because we don't anticipate ever really turning a profit.
I'm not giving you advice, but I would write stuff down.
Oh, no, this is all written down.
Oh, okay.
But they're not, I'm not going to say that we have legal contracts between the two of us. It's, volunteers who are all trying to make this happen.
Do you have cages? Are you going to have cages in the building?
There are, the brand name is Dakota. There are Dakota kennels in the building. They are meant for day kennels. They're not stand-up, walk-in boarding.
Will there be?
I currently have 20 in the building. There's 20 kennels. They actually were wire, the fold-up wire cages. We switched to something a little bit nicer because we charge more for the daycare, and we needed to have it look a little nicer than wire cages.
What would the hours of the daycare be?
We check-in would be 7 to 8. Pickup is 5 to 6. So between 7 and 6, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Monday to Friday? No weekends?
The idea right now is just Tuesday and Wednesday, because I'm running it, plus I'm training all the classes, plus I'm running the business, and I can't do it all. So we're just trying to get it going. And once we get it going, we would love to say Monday through Friday, 10 dogs a day. Would make sure that we would subsidize to bring the cost down for memberships and actually participating.
And
We're
nothing's
look-
happening in the building right now?
No, nothing's happening in the building. In fact, there's a whole bunch of permits that I think were submitted that will be on the next agenda for them to do their renovation in the building for the other portion.
Okay, I have no more questions.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to refer to the sketch where it says chain link fence, where you have that chain link fence.
Yes.
I don't know, Susie, do we have that?
Yes, it's
Yeah. The other, yes, this one. Okay, so F1 is your space that you're renting?
F1 is the space that I'm renting. That is
Okay,
correct.
so you don't have S1, that's not yours, that's somebody else's?
S1 is currently being rented by the current owner, what would be the previous owner, the man who's selling the property.
Right.
Is renting that for a year.
Okay, so everything you have is just in this F1?
It's just F1. And we also use the common restrooms.
Right, okay. And, so,
And the door is not yet there. That's a permit that'll be coming through, so that you'll see the double door kind of on the left side of that.
yeah, so your fence, and I know where the fence has to be separate, but I guess then your fence is going to the door of the tenant for S1. not
That
the
is
whole
actually
way-
a loading dock area, so it's
it's a loading
it's a loading
dock.
dock, and the reason why it was stopping right before that. So the building actually goes a little bit further, but that's a loading dock and and stairs out of the loading dock.
Okay. So with the, not the daycare, but the dog exercise, how many I know you haven't started yet, but with the club, you want to get members. How many dogs do you anticipate having in that facility during the day?
The max would be 20, but I don't want 20.
Right.
I think if we could do 10 a day, I'd be happy. 15 a day, that would be great, but due to the space and just hiring staff, it isn't feasible to have.
Right.
More dogs than that, if that's something that this area really wants, and, who knows, but right now, I have 20 kennels and no desire to fill all 20. The 20 are really there because when people come to participate in dog sports, that's a place where they crate their dogs while they're not working.
Right. And so the hours, like you said earlier, between, pickup and drop off, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., that's also for the club.
The club members can participate, they can send their dog to there's no exclusion. They can send their dog to the dog day school.
No, yes, understood, but the club operation, when you get it running, is that going to be like between those same hours, 7 to 6 p.m.?
The way the club works is that they run training and classes when they run training and classes. So it is possible that maybe somebody wants to come in and set up a little agility course and run their dog during that time. There's nothing to say that they can't do that. But generally speaking, during the day, people are working and really don't have a desire to do that. But it's not exclusive.
So they come in at any time, like at 10 at night?
Well, they could. I mean, they could. I don't see anybody doing that, but they conceivably could come in and use the building.
So is your building going to be open like 24 hours for
I mean,
club members to come?
it's key lock, and eventually it'll have a front door and maybe a card, but it's not going to be staffed 24/7 by any means. But as the way clubs generally work is because it's a joint ownership, it's a joint running of everything, right? So there's policies related to space rental, ring rental they call it, but there's policies related to that.
Okay. Have you talked to the neighbor, Hadlock Paint?
Yes. Hadlock Paint is actually, Patricia is the aunt of Terry, or not Terry, the son, Sean, who is a manager at Hadlock. So he's the one who passed on the email to Patricia, and then Patricia sent the letter back to me. So they would have provided a letter. They said that it really doesn't matter because they don't own the property. They have no objection to it either. They're of the mindset that as long as we're in our own space and we're keeping things clean and quiet, it doesn't really matter to them.
Would be good idea to get something in writing for them.
Yeah, I had sent it to him, and he felt because it was the property owner and because the question was the fence, he would just send it on to. But I think anyone within 500 feet, right, was consulted. So if they had an objection, I would expect that would have happened.
Because you do share wall with them. Are you going to put any, like soundproofing or anything?
I don't share a wall with them. The wall is beyond. So if you look at what is it? S1 and 8, was that H? I don't even know what that is. Can't read that letter.
M.
M? Okay. That shares a wall with Hadlocks. I'm on the outside of the building.
But M is Hadlocks, correct?
No. This building is all a separate parcel and split into 3 parts. So I'm only renting part of that.
Hadlocks.
Is like above.
Is this line.
Right, so I have another one where it's really tiny. I think that was up there too on one of the slides where it shows this building and the Hadlocks is next to it. It's completely different.
Oh, okay.
Parcel.
Okay, I see that. Okay, I thought that shaded part was also part of Hadlocks. Okay. Okay, that's all I have for now.
Questions, Patrick?
Is the kennel being triggered by the daycare or the congregation of dogs during agility training?
Nope, so the agility training, which our initial conversations were, even the training, so if dog comes in, they train, they do an event, or they participate in sports, the definition, the way it's reading in the town code for kennel, is the harboring of 2 or more dogs as a commercial enterprise. So you look up the definition of harboring, it's to provide shelter, right? So the daycare aspect of it doesn't need to be overnight, but as soon as you're bringing a dog in, you're kenneling the dog technically in the crate, you're maybe providing food, you're taking it outside to go to the bathroom, but you're not,
Okay.
you're giving that dog a home for the day. So that's where the kennel part kicked in.
Okay.
Kennel club.
Well, no, I think
So
that
that part-
what the code is has to do with ownership of the dog. Right, so
Well-
if I could bring my own dogs to that building and put them in kennels and
You
feed
could
them
have
and take them out.
100 dogs because no one's paying you to watch them.
Right, but it's when somebody else is not there with their dog that I'm caring
It's
for their
when
dog.
somebody's paying to have their dog watched for any period of time,
Okay,
okay? not trained, but taken care of for the day. You're running a daycare. It doesn't give a specificity on time, but unless that dog is actively training the entire time they're there, I would say that it's just harboring. That's my interpretation, and that meets our definition of a kennel.
Okay, no, that makes sense. And you,
No,
no boarding, right? You said you don't plan to board.
The plan is not to board. I mean, it's never been intended to be a boarding facility. It was always intended to be a club training facility. It's just the cost of it is, far exceeds what training will pay.
Sure. So if it ever got to that point, you'd be okay to that extent, right? Because then there's like sound analysis you'd want to think about when you start talking about overnight boarding.
I mean,
like
dogs
that.
bark regardless. I'll be honest. I mean, they bark when you're training too, right? They're excited. They bark on an agility course. Dogs bark. And the owners understand that it is a dog training business. The remainder of what they're planning on doing in that space is conducive to having a dog training business in there that has never been an issue with the owners at all. This is really just about the fact that the property and the way it's divided isn't allowing us that 2 acres to permit us to.
correct.
Correct.
Okay.
So I think even if you didn't count Hadlocks, you're over 3 acres. If you count the Hadlocks building, I think total, if you add them all up, it's like 4 acres. So the code requires the 2, but this parcel that she's using is, 0.3 acres. So the code would require the variance.
Okay. All right, and I admit the fence has me a little bit. I don't really know. I don't really know what questions to ask. So I guess I need more information on the fence.
They need a building permit. It's really, you don't need a variance. The dimensions of the fence aren't triggering a variance. It's the fact that they need a building permit to do it, and a different owner owns the parcel, so therefore either she needs.
Well, initially, the way she proposed the fence, it was coming outside the door here, and this is a corner lot, then over, then back. Okay, so part of the fence within that parcel, but because this is a corner lot, this was considered forward of the front line, and that's why the initial need for a fence variance was being requested. She has since proposed the fence
Right.
to come off this corner, back this way, no longer forward of the front line of the building.
Right.
And
But
so-
now, because the building owner is not, sorry,
Right.
the property owner is not also the building owner, I understand I need to get that permit signed and acknowledged and submitted along with the property owner's consent.
So the one where it shows the chain link fence is now different than what this shows because it only comes off,
Correct.
comes
We
off
took
from the
off,
building down.
correct, we took off this
this-
part because that's considered the front.
To avoid the need for a variance.
In the letter, if I may, in the letter that Ms. McMillan sent, she said, provided it does not impede delivery truck access.
Right.
But you said that S1 is a dock.
The delivery truck access that they're concerned about is the trucks that are heading to the Hadlocks loading dock. So they drive in off of the 251 and around the building to all the way to the other side of Hadlocks. That's the ones, because they bring in some really big trucks. That's the ones they're concerned about. And since this is completely on the grass, it has no bearing on the area of drive at all.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm hearing a long-term and short-term plan, correct?
Yes?
Short,
What are you hearing?
because it seems like ideally you want to have a kennel club, but you can't quite get the kennel club to pay for the lease, so you're creating this kennel that you're going to harbor dogs for a period of time until you can get enough money to get the kennel club up and running.
That is correct. We have roughly 17 members at this point. So
Okay.
I think we
So
need to
there
double
is
that.
there's a long-term plan of getting a kennel club up and running and phasing out this short-term kennel housing dogs to make ends meet until you can get the kennel club up and running? Or did I
Well,
miss
yes,
something?
but if I'm investing in a fence, I'm not going to say that the boarding, the day's care is going to be short-term, because I have another investment on top of that. I mean, it would make sense if it was permitted, and there was a fence there, that we continue operating with 10 dogs and continue the revenue to keep the price down for the club members.
So you'd like to do both? Then I completely misunderstood your beginning pitch that it was a short-term plan, I know my words, short-term
Yeah.
plan to pay for the lease until you can get the kennel club up and running.
Right.
And then you get the more members, and that's really what you want to do. And you
That
have
is what we
no-
want to do, yes.
You have no desire to do the kenneling of dogs.
I don't personally have a desire to do the kenneling of dogs, absolutely not.
Right.
However, if that's what's going to help us pay the rent, and we don't, I mean, what's short-term mean? Short-term would have been for 6 months
why-
for me, but it's turning out to not be 6 months because we're running into the snag, so it could be a year before we get, our grand opening is Saturday, so I don't know, right?
Let me put some perspective to it, that when a variance is granted, it runs with the land. So if you were to say that we just need this Band-Aid, short gap to get this thing up and running, we need hypothetically, a year to kennel dogs so that we can get to having a membership, a kennel club. That's what I really want to do, having enough members. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't need it anymore. That's one thing, as opposed to, I want to do both. Because a variance is going to look quite different if you want both, or not just you, whoever the future owner is.
Can you explain to me the difference? I guess I'm not understanding,
Okay,
because the
when I-
one use is permittable, correct?
When you say one use is,
The training and the,
well, that's going to lead into my next series of questions. I still don't quite understand a kennel club. So the question I have for you is, do you have, whether it be bylaws or something in writing that says, you want to be a member of our club?
I do.
Here's all the things that we do. You don't do anything outside of it. It's a bit like an HOA agreement to say, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do in it.
Yes. Yes, we do have a club constitution. It follows the AKC constitution format, and it explains what it is that we do as a club.
Next time, that would be tremendously helpful for us to understand what a kennel club is.
I'm not sure what part of that would help you, because I just don't understand, if, maybe I'm oversimplifying. The current use of having a business, or whether we call it a kennel club or a business, the word kennel is the tripping point, right? A kennel, in AKC parlance, is a whole bunch of people who, traditionally, the reason it started was people who they were breeders, they had kennels, right? Now it just keeps its name. It's not really breeders anymore. It's people who do things with their dogs. So the kennel club sort of just came along since whenever it started, right?
You were here for the person that wanted the pergola, right?
Yes.
And we agreed that you can have the pergola forward of the property line. You needed a variance. And the next thing we knew, lights and pumpkins and skeletons and all the stuff just starts spilling out all over the place. It's like, well, I just wanted to make it look nice. When you grant a variance, our job is to look at it carefully. What is exactly that you're asking for?
Correct.
How does it meet the criteria? And not literally putting a fence around what you're asking for, but to put some clear understandings of what you're asking for and what we're granting, so that we're on the same page.
Understood.
If you say, well, it's kind of this thing that evolves, that's not going to sit well with the board. It's so hard to write a resolution that says, well, that's a kennel and it'll be fine, but it's really not a kennel, it's this.
It's the nomenclature, but if we go back to the five, what are they called, the 5 points or the
Criteria, right,
5 criteria, right? I don't think it changes anything about the character of that area. In fact, I think what they're going to do in the inside of the building is changing much more than I'm going to ever change it, what they're planning on doing. But it's not changing anything about that area, right? It's an industrial area is what it's becoming, the semis and everything from the e-waste across the street, right?
One of the elements, sorry to interrupt, but if one of the elements of being a member of your kennel club is that if you want to train your dog, you must stay with your dog. You can't leave the dog and ask you or somebody else to watch the dog. Then it evolves into something else. It looks more like a boarding.
But that's what we're asking for. That's exactly the variance we're asking for, so that we can make money watching dogs during the day. I'm not,
Okay.
I'm not sure I understand your objection or your point.
It's not an objection. I'm looking for clarification. You seem to have divided your business plan into two parts.
It is in two parts. It absolutely is in two parts. One is the club. People who enjoy training their dogs and need a place to train. If we could magically get 60 members today, I wouldn't be talking about a daycare. Because the building is $5,000 a month, and I can't expect that to come out of training. You don't make that kind of money in training, okay? In order to actually make it affordable for people to train their dogs, to actually make it inviting to have a kennel club, right? Nobody wants to be in a club if it's going to cost them $2,000 a year. So in order to have that and keep the cost lower for people to actually continue training their dogs, we need an income stream. Otherwise, it's unaffordable to be in Victor, period.
I understand
Right.
the necessity of having enough money to pay the rent.
But what does that difference is it, I mean, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but what difference does it make about my business model? What I'm asking for is code. The code says I need 4 acres, right? 2 acres. Says I need 2 acres. I'm getting permission from the building owner for those 2 acres. So I'm not sure what the board is evaluating, since the business itself is permittable. I'm not sure what the board is valuing. It sounds like a lot of questions about barking and this and that, but I'm not asking for permission to have dogs bark,
Go ahead.
right?
You're not leasing the whole property. You are leasing 0.3 acres.
Correct.
And there's a legal piece of this that maybe we're not communicating well enough, and I apologize if I'm not doing it well. The variance goes with the land,
Yes.
with the parcel that you're leasing it to, and that the owner is the one that really, whether you're there or somebody else, it's not the parking lot, it's not where Hadlocks is, it's just on the premises that you are renting. That's
Correct.
all.
Yes, and that's why when I brought this application forward, I brought forward the property owner's acknowledgement and acceptance of that use. I also provided a letter from the current building owner for that, and I have a lease that represents the current building owner and the new building owner. So I am feeling as though the judgment here is about whether or not dogs can be there, and that's not the question. The question is it okay when I'm getting permission from the current property owner that suffices to meet the 2 acres?
Today, maybe today, that would work. If that current property owner that you have permission from to use that parking lot sells it to somebody else, and that new property owner says, no, you don't have my permission. Which is the facts, then, doesn't it?
But I'm not sure why
I have a
that
question, not for
impacts
the
this.
applicant. I have a question more now for Adam and Keith. It's a 5,000 or 10,000 square foot building on a tax map. What parking does this building, like, from an overall code perspective, are there protections from what Mike is saying in regards to that property owner saying, well, you can't use this? If the property owner said, you can't use this land, all of a sudden, there is no parking for the facility. So I guess, how is this a legally approved site plan for the town?
So it kind of goes back to the question you asked a little bit ago, and Adam, I don't know if you've seen the site plan. I have not seen the site plan. I've only, for stormwater and for this, I've only ever looked at this parcel like the chairman did from Encore. I would assume that the subdivision map for this does have some sort of official easements. To your point, we wouldn't know if they were ever filed, but it still should show the easements on the site plan. I have not looked at the site plan. I don't know if you have.
I have not, and I think the subdivision plan may have been done like administratively for tax reasons. It's very old,
unique.
and yeah.
But so I guess then that's, and going back to what Mike's saying for that, that's my question. We have a parcel that basically has no actual rights right now to exist. And this is kind of for your protection. It's like, if the owner changes hands, the lady dies and her estate sells it to someone, and another real estate development company comes and says, great, you want to use that land, give me $1 million. And then you're stuck, and they can say you have no right for all of that. Now there's the boarding facility on just 0.37, but it actually is going to a bigger question of how,
And
I don't know
maybe,
how we could, you're right, Mike, how we could approve something without knowing then that they
Maybe-
have the rights to that 4 acres, because I think that's the big.
and neither Adam or I are attorneys, but depending on what your lease agreement says, similar to, I think, we recently have been dealing a lot with Eastview Mall and their parking agreements. Like, none of those show up as easements either, but, think of the Eastview Mall lot, and then all the anchor stores are separately owned lots. They have these overarching parking agreements so that you can park on any of the lots to go to those stores. There aren't official easements like we would think of for like utilities and shared driveway access, stuff like that.
Correct.
So it could have been handled either through easements or it could have been handled through lease agreements. I honestly don't know.
So in your lease that you have, do you have the rights to those 4 acres? Or 3.5 acres outside of Hadlack, the whole parking lot where you can just use
Right.
it?
The lease is with the building owner, and the building owner in there has indicated in the lease that I can use whatever parking is available and in the parking lot, right? That's what he has an agreement with Hadlocks. Again, I think, the challenge is, it's a lot of family-owned and friends, right? Even the person buying the building is a friend of the family, so they're doing a lot of handshake agreements.
And
Let me get back to it and I'll give you time. It's important because, again, that variance, if granted, only goes to that parcel, just to the, 0.3 acres. When we go through their criteria, one of the elements is a substantial. What are you using it for? We have a code that says you need to be on 2 acres. There are going to be dogs there. What you do with it, how you manage it, is important. If it's a club and you're using it for training, that's important. That's relevant.
Yes.
If you're going to use it for kennel, that's important. If you absolutely find that your business plan needs both of those elements to run for as long as you have your business there, that's important. If you say it's short-term, long, these are variables that I believe the board should know if they're going to grant the variance.
I understand that
Yeah,
you'd
let
like
me-
to know it.
Let me finish, and then I'll certainly let you talk. Because a lease agreement, whether for the parking lot, the extra use you believe you have, and I believe you do, have access to that parking lot, by law, lease agreements cannot run into perpetuity. The variance runs with the land. So as long as the variance has been granted for that parcel, for as long as that parcel exists as it does, it will just continue to run for generations and generations. I don't have a crystal ball to know how long that lease that you have with your lessor, landlord, and whether it be a handshake or something in writing that says you can use that parcel. If any of that changes, it has a significant impact on a variance being granted on the part that you're just.
100%, 100%. And when you look at the 5 points, which of those 5 points would be impacted by it being in perpetuity?
Number 3.
It's not, you think it's substantial? Which part, what makes it substantial? Because really what we're using is a fence in the perimeter of the back of the building. The remainder is inside the building.
We kind of had this issue before on another kennel that they wanted to say, well, gee, the acreage is, I think, 1 acre or so, but there was a whole bunch of Forever Wild surrounding it. So we should be able to say that we have, by default, since no one can use it, even though it's not ours, we have the 2+ acres, so therefore we're in compliance with the code.
Sure, no, I understand that, and that's my position here is how substantial is it essentially having dogs on 2 acres that the property owner is allowing, and even if they sell it, right? What's,
You need 2 acres
Mm-hmm.
per code, and your demise premises, your leased premises is 0.3?
Right.
It's significantly less than 2 acres.
okay, and what with that use makes it substantial, other than space, like the size, right?
That's it, that's exactly it. It's the
Okay.
size of what you are asking for, and then trying to figure out, because the code, as far as kennels go and how it's defined, to go back whenever that code was initially written. What was the intent of the code? Why did you say that kennel owners that are going to board dogs, and why did you need 2 acres? Well, they're not here. We can't ask them. We can surmise. We can do our best at trying to figure it out. All that we know as this board is it is there. That law is there, and it says
Okay.
2 acres.
So I'm just going to withdraw, honestly,
Well,
because, no, I'll be honest with you. I'm trying to bring to this community, right? People who come together and do things together and enjoy the community. And this has been one of the biggest hassles that I've ever had to deal with. And Adam understands what I'm talking about. And it seems to me that if somebody's trying to bring community to Victor, bring business to Victor, people come in and train and they stop and eat. They come in and train and maybe they see a store and they go, that the difference between 2 acres and 0.3 on this very unique parcel that makes no sense in the first place is not that substantial. And if it's that substantial, perhaps somebody needs to look at how that parcel's divided, right? Because it's absolutely insane the way it's divided in the first place.
We're not disputing the fact it is a very unique parcel. But hopefully you were listening to some of the other questions about the board
Absolutely.
has to do a due diligence. So when we put pen to the paper, write a resolution, whether it be somebody looks at the resolution next week, 10 years from now, oh, the board looked this thing very carefully and they took in all these different factors. They understood exactly what the business plan was, what they were asking for, and what the limitations, if any, were put around it. Instead of just saying, wow, they just pulled a rabbit out of the hat and they didn't look at it very closely at all. Some boards
Understand.
do that, and some boards, the decisions get overturned, and that the term is arbitrary and capricious. But if a
Understand.
court looks at it and says, zoning board, you didn't do your due diligence, you didn't ask enough questions, you didn't figure out what it exactly is that applicant asking for. We're just doing our homework here.
Absolutely. And I do feel, though, that some of the questions have gone well beyond what I'm asking for. And all I'm asking is to put a small fence in the back, and everything else happens inside. So I understand I don't have 2 acres.
So can I, just to be clear, I'm in support of the variance. I think it's a good use of the building. I'm not against it. I'm not even looking at the fence. It's simply just the use of the boarding facility on the 0.37 acres when 2 acres allowed. The way I would look at it is, I'd be in favor of granting your variance, understanding that you're part of an overall larger 4-acre parcel of land that you have the legal rights to use, and however the parcel was created, you still have the rights to those 4 acres. And in 6 months, a year, 2 years, someone else couldn't purchase the parking lot and cut you off from that, and all of a sudden, there's the 0.37 acres, and it's just kind of sitting there. I'm just trying to get, all I'm trying to get is a level where I can understand that your rights are to that 4 acres, because
Right.
that's it, because just for the use.
Right. I have
That's
no
what-
legal rights to the 4 acres, none. It's all handshake and go ahead and use it. I mean, frankly, that same thing could happen with my landlord, and he could tomorrow say, I don't want dogs in my building, right? So no matter what, I'm in a position,
But no, for that, you have a signed.
I do have a signed lease, and it lasts 3 years, and after 3 years, you can kick me out, and that investment's gone. So I guess it's a risk to bring a place like this anywhere. It's very difficult to find a place that will even allow dogs. The way the codes are written, it's incredibly hard to find a place that will even allow you to have dogs there. So that's why it's costing us so much, and being in Victor is a huge risk. if this is something that isn't going to happen, I will make an arrangement right now with the new building owner and drop the lease, lose the money and cut it. But I feel like what I'm asking for, I understand I have to get permission from the property owner to put the fence up. I did supply a letter with her saying it was okay to use it. Beyond that, I have no control over how the property's divided and who sells it, and I just don't know.
We don't need to give a variance for the fence the way you've described it, correct, Adam? The fence is off.
Right, but it would need site, so kennels need special use permit.
Correct.
Yep, and site plan approval. And you could include the fence on your site plan approval and special use permit application, all as one thing. All of those parties would have to be involved.
Right.
That's your next step, but in order for the planning board to grant the special use permit for the kennel use, not the, I know we're using that word, you have a kennel club, but we have to go by the town code's definition of the word kennel.
Right.
Because that's what the law is referring to.
Correct.
Okay, so it's a permitted use by special use permit, and under that it says will require 2 acres of land.
Correct.
And that is why you need the area variance. Everybody's up to speed on that. So you have more steps. But without the area variance, obviously, the kennel aspect of the harboring of dogs would not be allowed, but your kennel club would be still a permitted use because it's more of a business.
What I'd like to ask is if you or Keith, and everyone's thoughts, table it, because I'd kind of like to understand how this property is even sitting here like this from a code perspective, from a tax lot perspective, how there's parking, how everything, like.
It has to go to county still anyway, so, right? We're not making.
Right, the county has to look at it. Right now, if I understand you correctly, you have a handshake agreement with the parking lot owner to use the property.
I believe that the building owner has it in their condo agreement. They call it a condominium agreement. So I believe the building owner has it in their condo agreement, and my lease has it in my lease. So that's by virtue of secondhand, I do have rights to the parking.
I'm just rotor planning through it on if that is sufficient enough to get you close enough to the look of you having some control rights over not just the .37, but closer to the, you don't have total control over the 2 acres, but you do have use of it. And it's a factor to look at, but if it's a condition to, if that lease agreement dissolves or goes away, I would ask the board, but a consideration is you'd have to then reapply for basically a sunset provision. It's a condition on you having a lease agreement, permission to use that, even though it may be for parking, but it has that look of, I have 2 acres to use. It's not forever wild. I'm not just assuming you have the park and I have a lease agreement, but an understanding that that lease agreement falls apart, you got to reapply. Think about it. You don't have to answer it today. It's just throwing it out there to.
I'm not sure, think about,
If that were a condition to granting a variance, that if you were able to obtain a lease agreement specifically saying your kennel club, use of that parking area,
it is in the lease.
your lease.
Yes, I provided the lease in the paperwork, and in the paperwork, it
You know
speaks to
what
parking.
paragraph that is?
So I see in 2.02, it references use of common areas and references the parking lot.
But there's common
But
areas within the building as well.
Correct, so there's nothing, I didn't see anything then that specifically, because I was going through it while we were,
There's roadways, parking lot areas.
because there was no
Yeah,
site
does say
plan
plan.
attached that kind of defined what the common areas there. It just doesn't
I know.
have the,
Parking lot areas, okay. And this is your lease agreement
With the current owner, Dave Naturelli, it was drafted by the soon-to-be owner.
But neither the person you signed this with nor the current owner have control over, okay, let me say this, own the parking lot.
I don't have the paperwork, right? Obviously, I don't have the condo contract, it's not my building. It is my understanding that that they have a condominium agreement of shared use of that parking lot.
I wonder if it would be helpful before you come back if Jordan, who's the future owner and an attorney, right, could put something in writing to help the board understand legally how you, from lease to however that works, have rights to use that common area, lawn and parking.
Yeah, I mean, by that time, I'm going to be bankrupt. At the pace that that's moving, that should have closed 6 weeks ago, so I don't know when that's going to close.
Do you have anything that defines just like what the common area, like, is there a site plan or?
They attached, as part of this, the picture, they only attached the picture of the building itself and the area that I'm renting. The remainder has been simply discussions with Hadlocks, discussions with the property owner, discussions with the current building owner. That has just been, and emails, right? When I've asked about parking, parking's first come, first serve, use whatever parking you want, kind of thing. There's nothing, because the lease is not, because the lease itself is not for anything other than the 5,000 square feet.
No, understood, the lease is not from that, but the
Right.
lease comes with the rights
Correct.
to that.
Yeah.
So,
I would think that would be in whatever agreement the building owner has, so that would be, and I've not been privy to that because it's been in the process of transition. So the first owner said, use what you want, here, you want to use my space, go ahead and use it, right? It's just been a free, use what you want. And the Hadlocks group has been, use what you want. Yeah, you want to put that there, use what you want. It's all been sort of, yeah, whatever you want to do. So nothing has, other than the condo agreement, would be the formal agreement between the new building owner and the, I'm not sure who, the Hadlock family of, I'm not sure. It's my understanding that they're purchasing it from the Hadlock paint people, not from the person who owns the property, because the buildings are separate tax codes. So that's actually owned by the same people who own Hadlock's paint. So I understand that I need to supply more information. I don't have that information. That's not my information to supply. They're not going to share that with me. So I'm not sure what I do from this point on.
I would think the landlord, if they want to lease it to you, would have an interest in helping you make that happen. So why wouldn't then the landlord, the property owners, go to the parking lot owner and say, we got to share this piece of information with the tenant and the zoning board to make all this work?
It's very possible. I'm stuck between a sale. So, I don't have any,
but the person selling it, who you're leasing from currently, should have a copy of the condo agreement that they can,
probably. It's all incredibly informal. That's all I can tell you is everything between everybody else is just a handshake. I have not been provided that other than assurance and emails that go ahead and use it. So I don't have that. That's something that perhaps once the sale goes through, it can be provided.
Understood.
I
I
would
think,
think that with a sale, they're going to.
I understand the predicament. You do what you can. It's still going to the county planning board for their review. When you come back, if you have it, great. If you don't, we'll figure it out on however the board decides. And
Okay, thank you.
thank you for your patience. Anything more for the board?
Move to adjourn.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried. Thanks so much, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Keep your notes.